Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have started today with this lecture, and starting with after stopping a long time. Before, I used to teach in the Academy Masjid for some brothers and sisters. Then I stopped for a long time, and then we came back now to start here. This is all by the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before I start, and I just want to remind about the hadith that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he encouraged us in the hadith in the Sahih Muslim about aiming the halal and being the righteous. Inna Allah tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiban. There's a long explanation for the hadith and for the meaning of what does it exactly mean, but what is the matter in the hadith? What we want from the hadith is that at the end of the hadith that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given an example of a person. He gave an example of a person that يطول سفره. He's in a long journey. أشعث وأخبره. His clothes are dirty, and his clothes are all with sand, and he's in a long journey in the desert. Okay, and this person يمد يديه إلى السماء. He raises his hands toward the sky. Means that he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's making dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help him. Ya Rab, he's asking Allah by the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَطْعَمُهُ حَرَامٌ وَمَشْرَبُهُ حَرَامٌ وَمَلْبَسُهُ حَرَامٌ. That he's what he drinks and what he eats and what he wears is made by haram. Is made by in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with it. وَغُذِيَ بِالْحَرَامِ means that his bones, his body got fattened and big and strong and healthy by haram. So everything of this person is by haram. فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ لِذَلِكَ. That Prophet Muhammad says, فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ لِذَلِكَ means for sure it is for sure that this person will not be answered, his dua will not be answered. فَأَنَّا, he says how this person, the du'as of this person will be answered, how? It is a ta'ajjub, su'al al-ta'ajjubi. Means he's asking, he's saying how this person, the du'as of this person will be accepted. So wise, that's why the brothers, we're in the month of Ramadan, and we should try our most best that what we eat, what we do, everything that we do is in halal. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reply to the du'as in Taraweeh, in Fajr, in all other times. So at utmost best that we must try that whatever we do is in a halal way and is in the right way. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies to our du'as. And because of our sins, the other people's du'as will not be accepted if we are in the salat. So it is because sometimes because of some people's sin, the others will come, the other du'as will not accept it as well. So because of that, we're in the salat, with the others, we're saying Ameen behind the Imam, and there's other peoples as well behind us. So at most best, we have to try make halal for everything that we could do. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. This is first of all. Secondly, we come to the book that we're trying to study it, and why I'm just trying to explain this today. Just give a brief introduction about the book and the reason for choosing this book and the reason for studying this book, so we know why we study this book. That's the important thing. And also the talib al-ilm, the student of knowledge, should know what book he studies and what books he's going to study after that, and why is he going to these stages. Because the scholars in the past and now as well, when they try to study or when they try to learn a knowledge, they study it by levels, by different levels. They don't study all in one go. None of the ulama straight away go to the Bukhari. Most of them, none of them, they went to Bukhari straight away. They studied other books before the Bukhari, and they didn't go to Tafsir Ibn Kathir straight away. They go to the other tafsirs before Ibn Kathir. It was available in that time. So the reason is that this book, Usul al-Thalatha, that we will be studying inshallah, it is a first level of Aqidah. This book that we study is the first book of Aqidah. And because of that, after you study this, you could go to the other books of Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, because Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, he wrote this book. First of all, I say, this book, he wrote this book as it is first stage for Talib al-Ilm to study this book, as well as this book is suitable for the awam, for the non-Talib al-Ilm, for the normal people, general people. So this book is suitable for Talib al-Ilm, whether you are a sheikh, you're teaching in a masjid, you're teaching in Bukhari, this book is suitable for you. And if you're just normal people, normal person, is suitable for you as well. Why? Because if you're a normal person, you're not Talib al-Ilm, you're not a student of knowledge, you will benefit from this book, okay, to know your aqidah, your main aqidah and your main belief of Islam with the proof. That's why. And for big sheikh, big scholar to study this book, the reason for that is that he will revise the dalil and he will revise the topics of this of aqidah. So it's suitable for both sides. So for the awam they will learn, and for the others they will revise. So it's good for both sides. And the thing is that Sheikh wrote this book for another good thing that we want to study this book is that the Sheikh, when he wrote this book, he chose very, very simple Arabic language. Fusha, of course, the main pure Arabic language, but with that he chose very simple words and text that is suitable to study it. So he didn't really did like some other scholars did. Some other scholars, where they wrote a book, they used very difficult language that even pure Arabic person, pure speaking Arabic will not be able to understand it. He needs to go back to the dictionary to learn more. But Sheikh, he didn't do that. Why? Because he wrote this book for awam, firstly, for the general people. And then he said it's suitable for others as well. So because of that, this book we chose because the language is very simple to understand as well. And also Sheikh, he wrote this book in the time that you cannot believe. He wrote in the time that shirk, the worshipping of rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so separated, was so known that Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah was really little. Worshipping qabr, worshipping the peoples, worshipping the grave was so known by the people that you cannot imagine how high was it in that time. In the time of the Sheikh wrote this book, brothers, you cannot believe that. Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. مؤلف هذا, and the writers of this book, Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, when he wrote this book, he wrote it in the time. I've asked many scholars as well in over there about this matter, because we heard it and I asked about this matter as well. He wrote in the time that Lat wa Uzza wa Manat was worshipped again in a Taif and Jeddah. In that time was worshipped again. The idols of Quraysh was worshipped again in the time of Sheikh. Okay, almost about 150 years, 100 something before now. So in that time when Sheikh wrote this book, he wrote it for everyone. So the people be guided with this book. So this book was in that time, and everyone was reading it. Big, small, in school, in everywhere, everyone was studying this book. So they know, because in the time that he wrote, Lat wa Uzza was worshipped in that time, brothers. The idols of Quraysh was worshipped again in Saudi, in Najd, in Najd and Hijaz. Jeddah wa Taif and Riyadh and Qasim, all of the areas. And I asked scholars by myself about this matter. They said yes, it is true. It was worshipped again, the idols of Quraysh in that time. So Sheikh wrote it is in a good time. And now we're in a time that people needs it. We're now in a time that people worship their money, worship their graves. They do many bid'ah, they do many things that people they are not aware of. So that's why this book is very suitable to study it. So and then Sheikh in this book,
because it is the first level of talab al-ilm for studying of knowledge, a student of knowledge and for others. In the beginning, Sheikh, he encouraged about learning with the proof, with the adillah, with the ayat and hadith, and then he advised to do da'wah, and he advised to call people toward what you've studied, and then he advised us to have sabr, and then we will come to all of this later on, inshallah. Just brief, what is the book about? And then the Shaykh spoke about why we were worshipped, why we are created, why we are here, what is the reason, what is the outcome of us to be here. And then the main thing about this book is that then he goes to the main topic of this book is usul al-thalatha, the main three fundamental of this book, the main fundamental of Islam, and that is the question that you are going to be asked in the grave about. You will be asked the questions that you will be asked in the grave: who's your God? What is your deen, and what is your prophet? And one may say, maybe he will say that this is very simple. I pray every day, I fast, I do this, I do that, so I should be fine. No, it's not only that. You will not be successful in the grave only by that, because there are many more behind of this that we have to do and we have to know, and we need to know why we worship in Allah and how we worship in Allah and which way we worship in Allah. And this is some little bit introduction about the book. And then another thing is that I want to say is that the brothers, inshallah, try at most best that when you come in, get a book and pen and paper to write your notes, to write your things that you will learn, the tafsir al-ayat, tafsir al-hadith, explanation of the main words that you will learn. It is very important because the ulama had books, mudhakkirat, small books or booklets that they had always with them. They used to write what they learn in the class with the sheikh. They used to always write. That's why if we go back to the old books, we could see they said is mentioned in the Mudhakkirat al-Ibn Jawzi, Ibn Qayyim, this alam, that alam. So they used to always have that. And for Talib al-Ilm to go to dars, to just sit like this and not revise and not write with the sheikh, with his teacher, with his sheikh, he will not benefit as much as he will benefit, for sure. And I've tried this by myself. I go to the dars, I go there without pen and paper, I don't learn a single word. But when I have it, I write down. After some time I've written things in my books. After many years of my talab al-ilm, it's been 5 years in Saudi Arabia, I study, alhamdulillah. It's been 5 years that I study in King Saud University in Saudi Arabia. I go back to things that I learned in the first year. If I wouldn't write it, I wouldn't know it. That's the main important thing. Secondly is that, brothers, utmost best we must try that we learn Islam from scholars and from the right people that we study with, because we can't just go read the book and understand it. That's the main thing. And I've seen and I've heard and I know people that they tried this. They got a book, they read everything cover to cover. They read the book cover to cover. And then top of that, what they did after every section, like this, every section, they wrote what they understood from the book. What did they understand from what they read? They write everything. They went over, they done everything. And then what they did, they went with the sheikh. They read it to the sheikh and they studied it with the sheikh. It's totally different what he understands and what the sheikh says. You understand? So it's very important thing that when you learn and you do your talab al-ilm with one of the scholars, it's not enough by reading books. It's not enough. And it's not enough only you have lectures online, you listen to it. You must have one person or two person that you go back to always. And you go back to him and you ask questions and you ask things with him. So that's another important thing. And another thing is that we must try to do utmost best not be hurry and not be rush in talab al-ilm. We go by stages, inshallah. This year we studied usul al-thalatha. Next year we do other things, smaller. Then we do kitab al-tawheed. Then we do Wasatiyya, Hamawiyya, other books of Ibn Taymiyyah and Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Slowly like this you will learn and you will know exactly things by stage. Like this it will stay with you longer. This way it will stay with you a lot more longer than just normal like that. Another thing is that we just try to we go to another subject is that fadl fi tawheed. The thing is, brothers, I have added on this book things that I thought it needs to be added on the main matan, on the main book, Usul al-Thalatha, the book. Top of that, I've added things that I believe should be in there. It is helpful for talib al-ilm, for the beginner with the book. So I've almost added 4 or 5 things. One of them is the fasl fi fadl al-tawheed. فصل في ميزان العقيدة الصحيحة, and another fasl, and we will come to it. And those 2 fasl is that, first of all, the section of the fadl al-tawheed. What are the fadl al-tawheed? What is the main, how you say fadl al-tawheed? The benefit of tawheed, the main benefit of tawheed. Why we should know the tawheed, the aqidah, the right aqidah, and what is the benefit of it, what we get out of it. The first thing is that أنها أساس القبول العمل. The first reason for studying aqidah, and we should know our aqidah, is that aqidah is the main stage and the main thing for our actions of our amal to be accepted. The Quraysh and the others, they used to do so many good actions. None of it is accepted. Why? Because they don't have the righteous aqidah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ وَإِلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ لَيَحْبَطَنَّ عَمَلُكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. So that's why the aqidah is the first benefit of aqidah is that, so our action will be accepted. Secondly, why we should study aqidah and what is the benefit of aqidah is that أنها أصل في دعوة الرسل. The prophets, it is the main call for the prophets. Nuh alayhi salam, Abraham alayhi salam, Musa, Isa, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they all called toward Tawheed. First of all, they all called from Tawheed. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. It is the first call of every single prophet is that they called toward Tawheed, Aqidah, to worship Allah. When I say Tawheed, Aqidah is the same thing, and is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of them, they called toward Allah subhanahu, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. What is Taghut? Taghut, it says to be away from Taghut. Taghut, it has a long explanation, we will come to it in the main book, is that everything that is worshipped rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He accepts this worshiping. There's one person, he's worshipped by people, he's being greeted by people, and the people worship him, and he himself, he doesn't say to the people, don't do that. That's first thing. He doesn't say to the people, don't do that. I'm not the one to be worshipped. Secondly, he accepts people worship him. So if you have these 2 characteristics, he doesn't tell people to stop. On top of that, he accepts people to worship him. He's a Taghut. This is just small explanation of Taghut. One of the things regarding Taghut. So this is one of them. So it is the first thing that the prophets used to call people toward, Aqidah, Tawheed, worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did call, for example, inshallah in the future, if we come to it, we will study it maybe inshallah in the future. Ulum al-Quran, we see the mizat al-aqid, mizat al-da'wah, means the things that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to call How we know, for example, like in this way we say, how we know this ayah is Makki and Madani. How we know this ayah is revealed in Mecca and in Medina. By this ways. Every ayah, every surah has, most of the surahs, every surah that has Ya ayyuhan nas, it is Mecca, Makki. And it is Ya ayyuhal ladina amanu is Medina. This is mizat, the things that, how you know this ayats and the surahs are Makki and Madani. And another thing is that surah is qisar al-surah, the small ayats. Small ayats is Makki, so on. So this is the first thing, is that the prophets, they used to call upon toward worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why we should study. And this, so the first thing is that we do worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so our action will be accepted. And we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by aqidah and tawheed. أنها سبب للحصول. And also it is the أنها سبب لحصول الأمن والهداية في الدنيا والآخرة. It is the reason, it is the way of the happiness in this life and the life after. And also it gives aman, it gives the peace and to the people, peace and no violence, no fighting, no troubles, no nothing. If people start worshiping Allah and they do tawheed and aqidah, act upon it, this all will come with it. Because as we know that in the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the other times that people used to act upon the Quran and they used to worship Allah alone for everything, no shirk, no dua rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we could see how their money, they used to become so much, a person that himself, he can't believe that he has so much money. Why? Because he worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. He asked only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His aqidah, his belief, his ideology was clean. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessing in his money and everything that he does. His wife, his children, everything that he does. His health. That's why nowadays we see many illnesses. We see many disease. We see many things. Why? It's because of all of this. Because we don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the right way. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punishes us. Punish us in this life and life after. Both life. But if we do aqidah and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the right way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless our money, our health and everything else. So if for a person, if he wants, and I've seen this in some people, subhanAllah, I've seen this by myself as well. Those people I've seen it by myself, when they really acting upon Quran and Sunnah. Top of this, they have a right aqidah, the right belief. Okay? Wallah, I've seen it, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put blessing in their money, in their wealth and everything. I've seen it by my own eyes. How the person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so much, and he gives every year so much. You can't imagine. In Saudi Arabia, I've seen some people, they give millions and thousands to students of knowledge and to others, and subhanAllah, as he hasn't given nothing. So it is that's why the important thing of aqidah. And also it is أنها سبب من فتح البركات من السماء والأرض. It is the same thing, that we spoke about it. We don't want to go over too much. So this is all some of the reasons that we studied, why we should study aqidah. So it is our actions will be accepted. It is the reason for aman, for aman and secure and safety in this life and life after, and the happiness in this life and life after. And also it is the reason for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us in this life and after. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Naam, of course. Sorry?
Acceptance.
Yeah, of course. Acceptance, yes. It will accept our worships. So another part that I've added to this book is that ميزات العقيدة الصحيحة, the attributes of the right aqidah, the right belief that we study. What is the attributes of this aqidah that we study? أنها عقيدة فطرية. It is one of the it is in our belief. It is in us. It is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it and it was with us, that we worship Him alone. This is one of things. And another thing is that it is عقيدة إنها عقيدة الواضحة والسهلة. Means what? It is easy and clear. This عقيدة is easy and clear. It is not like عقيدة عند المتكلمين الفلاسفة الماتريدية والمعتزلة and others. If you study عقيدة with them and if you read their book, that I will come to this point as well. If you read their book, you could see that you will get a headache. You just get a headache for no reason. You just read the book, you get a headache. Wallahi, subhanallah. What about you sit down and think about what he's saying? You will get, that's it. Probably you end up in mental hospital or something. So the Aqidah, subhanAllah, if you read the Ghazali book on Aqidah and other scholars of their Aqidah, Mutakallimin and Falasifa, the words that they use is so difficult, is not clear. Their words are not clear, their meanings are not clear. So that's why they don't explain Allah's attribute and it is explained. That's why it's so difficult. They don't explain things as it should be. That's why it became so difficult that you cannot even understand it. Even my scholars, some of our scholars in university, some of them and most of them, when they read their books, they say, Wallahi, it's even difficult for us to understand it. So what about non-speakers? And on top of that, some people, they go translate those books and then they want to know it. It's bala فوق البلا. It's not, that's why we should study the Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah under their books. Why? Because it's the words and the meaning is easy and it's very known, is easy. Also, another attribute of this Aqidah and the right Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, I should say this in the beginning of the lecture. This is a big mistake that we haven't done it. And that is, we study Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, the belief of Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah. We study the belief of them. We study what they believed. The Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the Tabi'een, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad, and Abi Hanifa, and those. We study their Aqidah. We don't study Maturidiyya, Mu'tazila, and we don't study Falasifa, Aqidat Falasifa, because they don't believe many things that some of them, for example, Falasifas, they don't believe that Barzakh. Some of them, they don't believe Bahth. They don't believe some of those stuff. Some of them, they are like this. They don't believe it. So this is a big problem. So we study Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah and we don't study any others. And that's what we should do. We should study with one Aqidah first of all, one manhaj, one belief. When we understand all of it, then we go to the others. While we studying for Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, the belief of the righteous people, it's not good to study the other people's Aqidah. Because then you will mix up and you will have many shubuhat and you don't know what you're doing. So that's another good important thing that we should know. We should stick with one. When we finish all, then we go to the others. And for example, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he didn't go learn falsafa. Ibn Taymiyyah is one of those ulamas, one of those first ulamas and the main ulamas that when he studied falsafa and mantiq and kalam, he's the only first, we could say, not only the first one, there were others as well, but he's especially him. He's one of those that he went into falsafa and kalam and mantiq, those aqidas, he went into it and he came out how he went in. He never changed. It never affected on him. And he learned it for what? To reject them. And how this happened? How this happened? How did Ibn Taymiyyah, he went inside and he came out how he went in? Because before he go inside this aqidas, he had very good, strong Ahl Salaf aqidah. He had very strong belief, Islamic belief. His aqidah was strong and tough and it was on the right path. That's why when he went in, the other aqidas were never affected on him. Never affected on him. That's the main thing. And also this aqidah that we study, it never change. It never change. It is as it is. But the other aqidas, the falsafa, kalam, the falsafas, the mantiq and kalam and the Maturidiyya and Mu'tazila, and all of this, you could see the scholars, they say something, then the students afterward, they say something else, or they change, or they go back to on some masail, on some topics. So it has changed. But the Aqidah Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah doesn't have any changes. And also this Aqidah that we study, it has the proof and the dalil. It stays on the dalil and the proof. But the others, some of them, they don't. And why it stays on أنها تقوم على البرهان and دلائل, means it stays on the, it is on the proof. We have proof for what we teach and what we study. It's not like, for example, mantiq or kalam. Ahl al-kalam and mantiq and falsafa, of course. Yeah, they base their belief on their brain. Falsafa, Ahl al-falsafa, some of the Ahl al-falsafa, they reject whatever does not come with the brain. Does not accept the brains, that whatever does the brain doesn't accept it, they will reject it straight away. That's a big mistake.
Who introduced all the falsafa?
When the thing comes, when the Futuhat al-Islamiyya, when they opened Europe and Romain and others, they start the Dawlat al-Khilafat al-Uthman, sorry, خلافة عثمان ليس أموية بعد الأموية عباسية جزاك الله دولة العباسية, they paid, their intention was good. Harun al-Rashid and the others, the intention was very good. They translated their books, and when they translated their books, there were some people, they came, they used the ideology and they used the qawa'id, they believe, and they used some of what they teach, and they mixed it with Islamic belief, and they changed it like that. So that's how it comes all the time. So our aqidah stays on the dalil. It does not come with the aql, with the brain, our brain. And also, this is the main important thing. أنها عقيدة الوسطية في كل أمره. Means what? It is the aqidah. It stays in the middle. It's not too dry, and it's not too extreme. Our aqidah is in the middle. It doesn't say that Allah does not have any attribute, okay? And it does not say Allah has everything. It says Allah as it is mentioned in the Quran. The hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is what is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. And لا إفراط ولا تفريط, means that it's not too dry and not too extreme. It's not going on things too much, and it's not too muqassir, not too outcoming. It is in the middle. It stays as it is, and it gives the right to everything. It gives the right to this one and to the right to that one. So that's why it is important to study Aqidat Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and one of those books is this one. And this is all for today. Introduction, small introduction, inshallah. So we don't want to say too much, and ilm should be by stage that we say, and by writing, and also slowly, not to be rushed. And I've seen brothers, subhanAllah, they rushed into talab al-ilm, and they rushed going out as well. And some of them ending up and not praying, subhanAllah. Some of them ending not praying. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Inshallah, we will start next week from the beginning of the book, and every day like this, like we just did half an hour today. Half an hour, inshallah. We do every day half an hour every Mondays and Thursdays. We see how it goes. And if we didn't finish the book, last 10 days we stay every day to explain, inshallah. Inshallah, we will finish it with Allah. And also there's two hadith of Jibreel, and there's another hadith of Mu'adh. They are long hadith. I will explain them as well. I will add them to the book as well. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah fiqh.